Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's special session of the Canyons Board of Education. We are pleased to welcome the Canyons community to this meeting. Today is March 19th, 2024, and we're meeting at the district office located at 9361 South, 300 East in Sandy, Utah. Tonight, we have two agenda items. The first is titled Interview Candidates for District 1 School Board Seat. The second item is titled Selection of Candidate for District 1 School Board Seat. Do I have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I move that we approve tonight's agenda.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion to that motion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. We have not scheduled time for patron comment tonight. Any patron who wishes to address the board about our agenda can send an email to communications@canyonsdistrict.org. Again, the purpose of tonight's special meeting of the board is to fill a midterm vacancy on the Canyons Board of Education. The individual we appoint tonight will represent District 1 and serve for the remainder of the term left vacant by the sudden passing of Mr. Mont L. Millerberg. That term ends December 31st, 2024. The process we will follow is in line with state law and caps a 2-week-long window during which candidates were invited to apply. Tonight, the candidates will stay in a conference room until their interview, which will be conducted here in the board chambers. With the aim of ensuring a fair process, the applicants will not be able to hear how previous candidates answer the questions provided to them in advance of tonight's meeting. Each board member is prepared to ask one question to each candidate who will respond to the questions at the podium. Each candidate will receive 15 minutes to complete all 6 questions. Again, with the aim of maintaining a fair process, every applicant will be asked the same questions. Tonight's meeting is public and being broadcast live on CSD TV, and we invite the community to listen to all parts of the interviews and the deliberation process. After every candidate has been interviewed, the Board of Education will vote to select the new member of the Canyons Board of Education. If there is a tie among the 6 board members, we'll ask a tiebreaker question that will lead to another vote. The candidate who receives the majority of votes will become the new District 1 representative on the Board of Education and will take the oath of office at our next board meeting on Tuesday, March 26th. And at this point, if there are no questions, we will invite our first candidate, who is Michael J. Williams.
Hello, board.
Hello. So welcome, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
We would just like to start by thanking you for your interest in serving on the board and representing District 1. And I will just invite Mr. Edel to ask the first question.
Mr. Williams, tell us about yourself and why you were interested in being a school board member, and tell us why you are well qualified for this position.
Boy, starting out with a hard one. Hope you don't mind. I prepared this, wrote it down. So my name is Michael Williams. I've been a resident of Mid-Vale for 17 years. I have 5 children, 3 attend Mid-Valley Elementary. I believe the success of all children in the district stem from family and community members that are invested in ensuring their success. For the past 3 years, I've served on the school community council and PTA. This experience has given me valuable firsthand insight into the impact of school board decisions on our students, teachers, and administration. I've witnessed how well-informed choices can unlock success for everyone. While I may not have the most extensive experience on SEC or PTA compared to the others that are here tonight, my time in leadership roles has helped me develop strong communication and problem-solving skills. I'm a firm believer in collaboration and working together to find solutions that benefit everyone in our school community.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What are the greatest educational needs in District 1?
This one took me a while because I think this is, true to what I'm here for. Took me a while to put together. The Utah School Board, they measure the success of our schools based on English language arts, mathematics, and science. We are all aware that District 1 is home to 3 of the 5 Title I schools in the district. Of course, our needs are great, as our scores, according to the report card report, shows our growth is low or average compared to other schools in the district. One of my children has an IEP, and the other 2 excel in all their metrics. So I understand that there are factors beyond our ability to show the quote success of a student based on metrics. However, there are 2 things that I've observed. Excellent teachers in our district that effectively teach ELA proficiency at a young age increases our students' success in math and science throughout their time in school. And parent or guardian involvement is key to our students' success. As the Canyons North Elementary Council PTA president, I have had the opportunity to observe the differences from our elementaries to the east, such as Canyon View Elementary, and to the west, Midvale Elementary. Both have great teachers and administration, yet Canyon View has a far greater percentage of students that are succeeding in the ELA, math, and science. My thought is that community engagement and education to families can be the catalyst to the growth of student learning in District 1.
Okay, thank you. What personal experience have you had with the public schools?
So like I said before, I've been the president of the SEC. Now I'm just on as a parent. I've been a local PTA president, currently a council president, and then the 2024-2026 school year, I'll be on the Utah PTA school board. The PTA and SEC have allowed me to be involved in meaningful discussions with board members, district employees, teachers, and administration.
Describe what you believe to be 1 or 2 of the major challenges facing the school district and how would you address them?
All right, so while school funding and teacher retention are crucial, another significant challenge on the horizon is our district's rapid growth, at least on the west side. This is especially true considering the increasing number of English language learners, ELL, joining our schools. We have been and may be faced with tough choices similar to those faced by other districts, such as school closures, boundary adjustments, or overcrowding. However, with district staff expertise and collaboration with the community, I believe the board can find effective solutions.
Okay. What do you believe is the role of a school board member? And then also, do you have time to devote to this position? There are several committee meetings monthly in addition to board meetings on Tuesday nights.
I almost was going to ask you a question on this one, but all right. The role of a school board member is to represent the needs, desires, values, and interests of their given district's community and students. With that being the primary goal, I believe that each board member needs to focus on the district as a whole to achieve student success. In regards to time, I am unaware of the time other than board meetings that are required. I do have a reliable work schedule. I work 5:30 in the morning and get off at 1:30. So I have from 2 to 10 to attend board meetings or any committee meetings that I'm put on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How would you handle a situation where you have 2 groups of parents who are asking you to decide an issue and what they want you to do is completely opposite of what the other group is asking you to do?
Luckily, as a PTA president, I've experienced this often. So my experience as PTA president, I've had the opportunity to handle several situations of parent groups wanting to do a certain activity in a certain way. And the discussion can become quite heated. In those situations, I've learned to always be listening to everyone and acknowledging their opinions and ensuring that they are heard and respected. I always value diverse opinions, but when decisions need to be made, I rely on the gathered information to make well-informed choices.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. That is all the questions, and we really appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Board.
Thank you. Okay, we would like to welcome you to tonight's board meeting, and we would like to start by thanking you for your interest in serving on the board and representing District 1. We will just go straight to the questions, and each board member will ask one. And our first board member is Mr. Edel.
Hi, welcome. So tell us about yourself and why you're interested in being a school board member, and tell us why you are well qualified for the position.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. My name is Lisbeth Atkins. I am a mom to two boys. They go to school in Sandy. Because of our divorce decree, it kind of forced us to maintain, that path in Sandy. But we live in Midvale. So I'm a very involved mom, always have been, volunteered, really interested in like the test scores and having relationships with the administration and the teachers. I went to school for, I did a master's in statistics with an emphasis in educational psychology. So I've always been super interested in like a lot of the things that we looked at in that program was like measurement and research design for schools. So this kind of spoke to me in that aspect. And let's see about myself. I'm also an analytics manager. I work for Regions Blue Cross Blue Shield here in Utah. And I've been in analytics. So postmasters, I did a little bit of research for like a cancer researcher at the Huntsman, but I decided that I wanted to go into data. So I've been in data for the last 10 plus years, and I've worked for a lot of different Utah-based companies like Extra Space Storage, Ancestry.com, and recently Regions. So I'm in healthcare now. So I like to really utilize data in all aspects. And so that'll kind of come out in some of the other questions like further down. But as far as me, I'm also really interested in like the brain, psychology, conflict management, management principles, and personality theory. So also very much health focused. So that's me.
Great, thank you. What are the greatest educational needs you would say in District 1?
So I think this is kind of a hard question. So I'm kind of thinking more general. And I think the biggest thing that I can think of would be getting kids to focus and to fall in love with learning. So this kind of ties into the fourth question by Peterson. Um, you know, I think kids have such a short attention span nowadays, right? Like they're constantly bombarded with like 3 to 5 second clips, and they don't have a moment to just be in peace and be bored and think and be creative. So I think kids focusing, not having their phones, um, really paying attention to the teachers is a huge issue, along with like, you know, nutrition that I think could be improved. So like, a lot of kids start their day with like um very, sugar ridden or very carb heavy breakfasts. And I think, focusing on like focusing on like getting them better breakfast, like protein rich, fiber rich, to then kind of maintain their glucose levels so that they don't go on this roller coaster, which just then makes the attention issues that much worse, right? And then even before that is like, I think like kids not sleeping enough. So I think like all of those contribute to like a lack of focus. And then also just the lifelong learning, right? Um, so yeah, those are kind of my thoughts there.
Hey, what personal experience have you had with public schools?
Yeah, so my kids go to public school and they have attended public school here in Utah, in Tooele, and then in Sandy. So I personally attended public school in Long Beach, California. And I remember in high school, I was in a college prep program um, that was so hard that when I went to college was easy. So that's kind of my experience with public schools. I've also volunteered in preschool and elementary school, and now in high school for as much as I can for my kids.
You were waiting for my question. Describe what you believe to be one or two of the major challenges facing the school district, and how would you address them?
Yeah, so I mean, this one was hard because I feel like most of it probably revolves around budget, right? I'm sure there's so much that would, this board would want to do if there was unlimited funds, right? So I I think that like the new buildings that have been created for the middle school and high schools have just created like a beautiful environment for kids. And so I'm sure that was a big focus for a while to get, these older buildings constructed, which is lovely. So, I mean, to be honest, I think like if you have to remove budget aside, if you don't have unlimited budget, then I think there are some things that you could, the board could work on. For example, like if I had to think of stuff, it would be like, okay, well, how do we like petition for maybe higher salaries, right? How do we use data? Like, is there a correlation between retention, like teachers staying, and even like increased testing score? Like, what are some data measures that would help? What are some interventions that would help increase testing scores? The other thing too, teacher satisfaction, like if budget isn't something that could be tackled, then like how do you increase teacher satisfaction? How do you increase them feeling supported? And so you could use survey data, right, to kind of measure that and see what they would say. I'm sure there's some low hanging fruit that would have a big impact. And then the last thing that I thought about was creating like some sort of like mentorship for parents to get parents involved. So a lot of times like parent involvement decreases over time. And so if there's a human element to that where, maybe a parent who is in third grade reaches out to a kindergarten parent and kind of helps them along the way, I think that would actually like really create a sense of just ownership for the parents to be more involved and increase, you know, their involvement, I guess. So those are some thoughts I had.
Okay, what do you believe the role of a school board member is? And also, do you have time to devote to this position? There are several committee meetings monthly in addition to board meetings on Tuesday night.
Yeah, so I think my understanding is that you guys look at policies and you help support, you know, the administration, teachers, students. You look at the budget to see where that is spent. And you do all that in a way that supports the community, right? And then the second part of your question is, do I have time? And yes, the answer is yes. I looked at when these meetings take place. My kids are with their dad like half the time, and it looks like most of these meetings are on Tuesdays, which is when I don't have them. And so very much interested in that. I also volunteer in like a moms in tech group, and I volunteer for hospice because I do have extra time. So I'm in a hospice group, and so we visit people that are on hospice. So I do have time.
Thank you. How would you handle a situation where you have two groups of parents who are asking you to decide an issue and what they want you to do is completely opposite of the other group?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really hard, right? I think it comes down to um I think it comes down to trying to understand, like listening to understand. Sometimes someone is saying something, but they can be very much gridlocked. And I think it comes down to understanding, well, why do they feel that way? What's driving them? And then I think, you know, sometimes presenting three options, it could be very beneficial. So you give someone three options and you have them rate it. And then you have the other side do the same thing and maybe explain why. And if they feel heard and understood, and then they give you the three options, hopefully you can hit a middle ground. So that's how I would handle that.
Okay, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being here and being willing to interview.
Sure. Thank you so much. Nice seeing you guys.
Stool. Always too perfect.
Okay, we would like to welcome you here to the meeting of Kenya's Board of Education. And we want to start by thanking you for your interest in serving on the board and representing District 1. And Mr. Edel will ask the first question.
Appreciate
Am I
you being
supposed
here.
to introduce myself? They said we were supposed to do that.
You'll understand in a second.
Okay.
Tell us about yourself and why you're interested in being a school board member. Tell us why you are well qualified for this position.
Okay. I am a Utah native born. I have lived in District 1 for over 50 years. I am a mother of 6 children. I have 5 boys and 1 girl. And all of my children went to school in District 1 schools, from elementary through their high school, except I had one son who attended District 5 school, Peruvian Park, for his elementary school education. By profession, I am an educator. I have a bachelor's degree in elementary ed and special ed from the University of Utah and Utah State University. I also have a master's degree in administration with history and English emphasis from Utah State University. I have multiple endorsements, especially in the area of reading instruction. I taught school in Jordan and Weber school districts, one of which would have been considered canyons, but we were not in the same district at that time. I taught for over 33 years. I have been involved in schools serving on a local and district committee at elementary school and high school levels. I feel that I am qualified to serve on the Canyons Board of Education because of my experience as a professional, as a parent, as a community member, and as a spouse of a previous school board member.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
The next question is, what are the greatest educational needs do you feel in District 1?
I believe, first of all, that I would rephrase this question to be two parts. I would change it to say at first greatest need, because I believe that the greatest need of District 1 is just the same as it is in all of the school districts, all of the districts in Canyon School District. To phrase what you have put in your Canyon's mission statement, I think the purpose is to deliver a high-quality education to all students, to value and reward employees, work together with families and employees and community, and to ensure a safe school environment. The second part of my rephrasing of question 2 would be to go back to your question, Ms. Nyborn, original wording, and say the greatest needs of District 1 come in the rollout of how you apply and give the best education to all of the students in District 1. I will focus on just one of the distinguishing traits of District 1. By the nature of where we are located, we have 4 of the 5 Title I schools. The main marker of a Title I school is a school with high membership of children from low income. And through the years, that has been identified in different ways. It has different areas of focus, but pretty much always has focused on low income. Therefore, in referring to your original question, I would say needs are different with every district. But in District 1, I think the main focus will be to support and maintain and receive the federal government funds that are allocated to Title I schools. So how these funds are used to meet at an at-risk population is carefully monitored. Those markers can change. They're specific and they're measurable. And these goals must be met and documented to ensure that the funding is used according to the sustainable developmental goals. I see the role of the school board member representing District 1 needing to be hyper-focused and educated on the professional tasks with delivering the intricacies of the service provided by those funds to the high at-risk population. You cannot provide these services if the school district purse is empty. Therefore, I would absolutely focus on fiscal acquisition of the federal funds and the distribution of those funds.
What personal experience have you had with public schools?
My personal experience in public schools, first and foremost, is as a professional educator, second, as a parent, third, as a volunteer, fourth, as a statewide representative at many levels in the public education system, including for a lengthy period of time, I served as a lobbyist. I will refer you to my resume if you have questions specifically, because as I read them, they definitely mirrored all of you.
Describe what you believe to be one or two of the major challenges facing the school district, and how would you address them?
I feel lucky to have had the opportunity to shadow my husband as he served in a regular, formal and informal responsibilities as he served on the board of statewide school board association. I came to know, excuse me, those people very well, and we had many formal and informal conversations. Regularly, when I did attend with my husband to your national board conferences, I usually could find classes that were being provided for people to help address the needs. So very seldom did I not have the opportunity to be trained from national leaders with regard to this question. The diversity of our state, as I learned, as I associated with these people and reflected about what it was like when I was originally graduating from university, my formal education, was that every district has specific needs that are usually dictated by their location. Geographically, that impacts every one of these questions that I saw as a need. So by the location and the basic challenges, the same for all, but the magnitude of those problems differs according to where you're at. For example, if you're trying to attract and retain qualified employees, that is very significant if you are in a remote area. So by the very nature of the fact that it's there, it limits the people that come and even interview for those positions. Still, and yet, that is an issue that we have as a district in Canyons, maybe for a different reason, because we have a variety of other districts that are available to these candidates. So attracting and retaining qualified employees, to me, is one of the main reasons that I think we would have to be aware of your question. Building, excuse me, and maintaining safe and up-to-date equipment, technology, and facilities is also imperative, including instruction, for example, in AI. Many of the people that we would maybe have the opportunity to interview and retain in this district would not be available to some of these remote districts. So even though it's the same issue, I think it has a different look in our district, but it's still a concern. Higher than average rates of absenteeism and tardiness, to me, is huge. That is one of the issues that is national, but it is also an issue for all of these areas. And of course, hostile behavior and bullying and the role of the private sector being involved. Question 5.
Okay, there's 5 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
These are focused.
Okay, thank you. What do you believe is the role of a school board member? And also, do you have time to devote to this position? There are several committee meetings monthly in addition to board meetings on Tuesday night.
I'm very aware of this. Yes, I understand the role of a school board member, and I have the time to devote to that. Question 6.
How would you handle a situation where you have two groups of parents who are asking you to decide an issue and what they want you to do is completely opposite of each other?
Welcome to our world. I believe that handling a situation like this and throughout my whole career, you always had two groups, whether it was a district issue or an intimate issue, unique to your school or your situation or your classroom. To me, your question has become the norm rather than the exception. The climate of our world has become one that I have personally labeled as a crisis of institutional trust. I feel that people don't trust the government, they don't trust their neighbors, they don't trust their family members, and they don't trust the police as just a few. I would handle a situation with opposing parties by building a climate of trust. One situation, one conversation at a time. I do not believe you can do it in any other way, because when you come to a crisis situation, if people don't trust you, they won't hear what you have to say. So you have to build a climate. You have to do that by investing and listening over the long haul to every issue that you know of, and then instituting a process of collaboration.
Okay, thank you so much for being here and for applying for this position.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience. If there's anyone in this group that would prefer you to not be using your 2 hours in this way, it would be me. So I thank you very much for the professionalism in which you've handled things.
Okay, welcome to tonight's meeting of the Canyons Board of Education. We'd like to start by thanking you for your interest in serving on the board and representing District 1. And we will go ahead and start with the first question by Mr. Edel.
So tell us about yourself and why you are interested in being a school board member, and tell us why you are well qualified for this position.
Well, thank you, Andrew. Well, my name is Reiner Lilbach. As far as my background, I have lots of experience in customer service, in management, in sales. Also, I have an advanced degree in public administration, which I did later on in life. As far as why I am interested in this position is because I am a father, first and foremost, and having yes raised my son and being involved with his education as far as parent-teacher conferences and being volunteer in his school and helping him to do the homework and participating in his activities. It's extremely important to me. So I believe that children are the messengers who we send to the future. The way we speak with them is becomes their inner voice, so to speak, and everything we do for them will never be wasted. Becomes their inner voice, so to speak. So as far as why I'm interested, again, I'm not interested in money or power. That's not the reasons why I'm here. I believe that it's more important to become rather than to believe and think what I'm getting from something or the opportunity what is presented. Um, so that's basically then, yes, my background. And as far as, children, it takes the village to raise the children. So public education has an important role to play um, as in the lives of the children as a contributing members of our society and as in their families and their communities as well. So and through the public education, they will find out who they actually are. What do they love? Uh, what's their calling? Hopefully, right? So,
Thank you. What are the greatest educational needs in District 1?
well, the District One, Midvale is, I would say, a lot of the schools there are Title One schools, which means that government assistance schools, which need a lot of support. Um, and Another big issue with the Midvale area or District One is, yes, is the homelessness, uh, refugee population as well. So we need a lot of assistance and support. So, and I intend to do that as an underdog myself and as a supporter of all the underdogs. So, and help them along to get the most education they got to get as the key to their future success and opportunity in this great country.
What personal experience have you had with public schools?
Well, my personal experience with public schools, yes, taking a lot of classes, and again, as I said, that helped me to realize what I enjoy, what I love, what's my calling in this life, so to speak. What's my profession? What 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 I'm good at, so to speak. As far as yes, being involved with my son's education, like I mentioned too, being involved with parent-teacher conferences, volunteering, grading the papers, helping the teachers out, attending the events, sporting events. That's all great experience. I'm grateful for that opportunity I had. So, and as far as another personal experience is this, that my father got his elementary education in Siberia as a deported family member. So, and it's been, yes, affected my family, and I tend to do everything I can to avoid those kinds of extreme situations where children need to be traveled to harsh conditions and learn to survive early on in their lives.
Describe what you believe to be one or two of the major challenges facing the school district, and how would you address them?
Well, the two major ones, what I can tell is the I would say the micromanagement of our legislature, which causes a lot of stress, a lot of divisiveness, and how would I solve that issue is I would build connections with the people who are in our education committees in Capitol Hill and leverage those connections and let Kenyon School District to be in charge more of the vision and the future of the children here, and the great education institution as it is here. So, and the second one I would say is just lack of lack of young families in this area. So, and the solution to that issue, there's not much I can do here, but one thing we can consider is to make the Canyon School District such a great school district that the young families with the children will do everything they can to settle down here and send their kids to our schools, elementary schools and middle schools and high schools, and would make an attractive place to raise the children, despite what the real estate market does.
Okay, thank you. What do you believe is the role of a school board member? And also, do you have the time to devote to this position? There are several committee meetings monthly in addition to board meetings on Tuesday nights.
Well, the role of the school board of education is basically to create the vision for the district. So, and implement that vision. So, with their votes, with this decisions, so to speak, and and through the customer service and working with the parents and with the teachers as well as a partners, and creating the connections in this way. So, and being fiscally responsible as well, and having the innovative, yes, class experience for the children, and yes, attending also the meetings, Tuesday night meetings. That's the role of the member of the Board of Education of Canyon School District. Tuesday night study session, business meetings, closed meetings, hopefully less of those, more of open meetings, committee meetings, attending schools where the stewardship is over of the board members. So I know where my schools are located, the 7 schools. I also attended the homeless shelter in my city as well. So, and anyway.
How would you handle a situation where you have two groups of parents who are asking you to decide an issue and what they want is completely opposite of the other group?
Well, that's a great question. So I am not the person who now want to put some children advantage over the other children. What I would do in this situation, I would try to find a compromise, 50-50. Let one set of children with the parents win a certain period of time, and then other set of children with the parents win this second time, a latter time, so to speak. Or if that's not possible, then I would not give them everything to the first set of parents with the children, and then give a little bit to the second set of children with their parents. So kind of a compromising win-win situation. So as the worst comes to worst, I guess I will do the vote and let the majority win too. But I would seek the equal treatment of all the children.
Okay, thank you for being here, and we appreciate you applying for this position.
Thank you so much for the
Thank
time.
you.
Hello.
Hi. So welcome to tonight's meeting of the Canyons Board of Education. And we'd like to start by thanking you for your interest in serving on the board and representing District 1. And we'll just go straight into the questions, and Mr. Edel will ask the first one.
Tell us about yourself and why you're interested in being a school board member. Tell us why you are well qualified for this position.
First, thank you for taking the time to interview us all tonight. I am Nikki Stevenson. I have been involved in education and made it my life's passion since I was 19 years old. I had my first job teaching early childhood education, and from there moved into community service. I served on local boards all through my 20s, and then started again in public education, Brighton High School as a critical needs aide. And then from Brighton, took a little bit of a break and then ended up at Midvale Middle School. At Midvale is really where I found a new set of passion and ambition and drive for these students whose families and stories are, they're impactful, and I wanted to be more involved in that area. So my husband and I decided that that would be the place where we landed and grew our family there. And so, so living in Midvale, I've taught culinary arts in high school. I have been in education in all ways, shapes, and forms in different varieties. And regardless of the situation, it's still about my passion for children and helping our youth.
Thank you. Okay, your second question. What are the greatest educational needs in District 1?
Greatest needs, I believe, are making sure that we have enough resources for after-school programs and funding. I know that right now we have large concerns with our homeless populations and multicultural accessibility for language. We know that we're getting a huge influx of refugees, and this is not just going to be affecting our district, but the district as a whole, Canyons District, not District 1. These are, on the forefront of our mind as, being involved in our community, as well as just knowing that this is an issue that we're going to have to address regularly and probably more frequently going into, Canyons District as a whole.
Thank you. Third question, what personal experience have you had with public schools?
Well, to be honest, my personal experience in my childhood was unconventional. I did not have a traditional upbringing. I actually struggled to fit in. I went to Silver Mesa Elementary School myself, and through my struggles, ended up dropping out of high school in the middle of my senior year. And it wasn't until I was 30 years old that I decided to go back and get my diploma, because I had 3 children at this point, and being a mother of 3, I didn't want my children to look at me and say, well, you didn't do it, so why should I? So I decided that I was going to go back and be that role model, and now they have no excuses. Now they have to finish school. I'm a mother of 3 who are in our public education system here in Canyons District. I've got one at Peruvian Park, I've got one at Union, and one at Hillcrest. And yes, we have 3 different bus schedules and 3 different pickups, and thoughts and prayers are welcomed. But this is our last year of that. We'll have 2 at Hillcrest and 1 at Union here pretty soon. So that's pretty much the back end of the story. And I always felt that my story can resonate with a different population within our district. And I think that's very relevant to the students in our area and to the families in our area. I came from a background of, not privileged. And so I was a single mother at one point. I utilized the services of McKinney-Vento. This was all during my time working at Midvale Middle School, working a second job at nights at a youth treatment center, just trying to make ends meet. So I feel like this is all part of an experience relevant to the area and why I want to serve.
Describe what you believe to be 1 or 2 of the major challenges facing the school district, and how would you address them?
Just 1 or 2. I think, I know, there's a long list. I think if I were to sum it up, I would say, I would probably put in a nutshell, our legislature and then legislation that passes and continuous, uh, continued resistance for funding and not being able to grow the way we need to and have the capacity and the funding as we would like. And I think this is always going to be relevant. I know that especially over the last couple of years, and our legislature has, changed some policies, and our WPU has suffered, and we have to find other creative ways and innovative ways to meet the needs of these students. And I think the first thing I would do is probably listen to know what has been done, see where we're at, see what direction the board would want to go, and take it from there.
Okay, thank you. What do you believe is the role of a school board member? And also, do you have the time to devote to this position? There are several committee meetings monthly in addition to board meetings on Tuesday night.
Yes, I believe that the role of a board member is to ensure that there's proper representation for that area, that district, and also being an extra ear and making sure that we're involved in creating that safe space for families and children and residents and community members and stakeholders to come and discuss their concerns and also bring their highlights and their joys to us. I think that's a huge piece of this, and making sure that there's diverse representation on this board, especially knowing that our district is changing and the demographics are changing. As silly as this sounds, Tuesday nights happen to be a night where my husband is also in council. So we arranged our custody schedule years ago to arrange his, to accommodate his council nights. So my Tuesday nights are ready to go. Committees, I've served on 8 boards throughout, the years, and I continue to serve and will always make sure I make time and prioritize the needs of the district and the role.
Okay, thank you for being here. How would you handle a situation where you have 2 groups of parents who are asking you to decide an issue and what they want you to do is completely opposite of each other?
Out of all the questions, this was probably the one where I've struggled to find the correct language for or situation to relate to. But I always think of a time when I was teaching preschool, and if you've ever worked with parents and 2-year-olds, and when a 2-year-old bites another 2-year-old, and you're trying to explain to the parent how it's a normal part of child development to have 2-year-olds fight each other, and getting through that situation with every parent walking away and being peaceful, then there's pretty much anything I can handle in terms of those conversations. I think that we have a responsibility to listen. We have a responsibility to make sure that every person has a say and feels heard and validated for their opinions. I think there are going to be situations where there's going to be no resolution. There's going to be no peace, but there will be ongoing discussion. And I think that's the part that I would emphasize in that situation is, not necessarily saying this is it, that's the end of this conversation or topic, but saying let's continue to have that conversation. Let's move it forward and still make sure that everybody is feeling heard.
Okay, thank you so much for being here and for applying for this position.
Thank you.
We appreciate
it for taking the time.
Okay, board, we will now take a 5-minute break. So let's try to be back here in 5 minutes. And just as a reminder, please do not discuss the candidates while we are on a break. That all needs to be in public.
Do we have blankets or something? I'm freezing. Yeah. Like it was so hot today. I wore a skirt and here I'm freezing. Is everyone cold? Turn it off. Thanks, Leon. Yeah, yeah. I like it. I feel like it needs to be shorter. And I just, my two things to be shorter and then like.
Hey. I just
Like,
texted him this.
and I know it's kind of be short with that. You know who you want to ask? Part of the challenge. Is making new friends. No, part of the challenge is what is it? Well, in one sentence, what is it? I agree. I agree. And I think any personal that demonstrates a successful experience in public school would be. Yeah. I do think people are. They want something that they can relate to. Oh, okay. Living your best mom life. That's a daily call. Someone was late.
I Okay, we'd like to welcome you to tonight's meeting of the Canyons Board of Education and would like to start by thanking you for your interest in serving on the board and representing District 1. And we will just go straight into the questions, and Mr. Edo will be the first one.
Tell us about yourself and why you're interested in being a school board member. Tell us why you are well qualified for the position.
Okay, and just to be clear, I'm Stacy Kratz. I am a Utah native, but my family moved away when I was in about fifth grade. I got an amazing public school education in Utah and Wyoming, and then went to college and started my professional career and eventually moved back to Utah in the late 1990s. And so that's where my husband and I have raised our kids. All four of our children have been Canyon School District students. Well, Jordan initially, but it's kind of the same thing, right? If you go far enough back. I'm trained as a journalist, which I hope that's not alarming to anybody. And I now work in public relations for a college of education. And I am a passionate advocate for public schools. Public schools have become kind of one of the big advocacy and volunteer parts of my life. And I consider them one of the most foundational institutions in the United States. I think they're a bedrock of opportunity. I also think that they are vital. Healthy public schools are vital to a healthy functioning democracy. And one of the things I've always loved about Canyons and that I've advocated for in my time as a volunteer and parent in this district is that we do our best, I think, here to educate every single student to their potential, no matter how they come in, no matter where they start. We do our best and we have something for them. And that's one of my very most favorite things about this district and one of the reasons I'd like to help with that if I can.
Thank you. Your next question, what are the greatest educational needs in District 1?
District 1 is one of the most diverse areas in Canyon School District in a lot of different ways. That's actually one of the reasons I love District 1. That's one of the reasons we moved into that area. I really enjoy the mix of people there, the mix of opinions there, the mix of backgrounds among the people. It's been a really invigorating, great place, not just for my husband and I to live, but for our kids to grow up. I think it's been a real blessing, and the schools that we've been able to attend and be a part of in District 1 have been wonderful too. There's amazing students and families in District 1, but a lot of really, really interesting, diverse needs as well. And I think Canyons is working really hard to understand those needs, meet those needs. I love all the community stuff we have, particularly at Midvale Middle School and at Hillcrest. I've helped and volunteered in the community centers and the drop-in centers that we have there at Hillcrest. And those are not just a blessing in the lives of the students who actively use them. I think they're a blessing in the lives of the whole school community because everybody wants to help with them. And the school builds this great sense. One of my favorite things about Hillcrest is I think Hillcrest is a great school for unity. And those sorts of community initiatives, I think, really help everyone build a sense of unity. I think that's something that we obviously need to keep doing. I think we have some really underrepresented communities in District 1 that deserve better representation. And I have served on an educational equity committee at Hillcrest that's been working to try to think of some ways that we can do that and serve those communities better. And I would be really, really interested to hear and learn more about those kind of things as we make that sort of effort.
What personal experience have you had with public schools?
My first personal experience with public schools is as a student, obviously. I attended public schools in Utah and in Wyoming. And then I also attended a great public land-grant university in South Dakota. So I've been a student. I know what that's like. I've also been a parent. If you look at my application materials, I have a lot of involvement in my kids' schools. I love being in their schools. I will take any opportunity. I've even pulled out like my old Harry Potter party banners for other people's class parties and gone to them just because I think it's fun. You guys can borrow if anybody, just putting that out there. I also have been a stakeholder I was here when we voted to create Canyon School District. And I was really, really interested and excited by the opportunities. And I have been a advocate against some of the policies the district's had over the years, but also for many of the things the district's done over the years. And I'm really happy that I've been able to build relationships with a lot of people who work in this district. And I think the district's in an amazing place right now. I've also been an employee. I very briefly worked at Peruvian Park Elementary to fill in for an education support person. And then I've also taught in schools, not in public schools, but I do have a little bit of classroom teaching experience at the university level and at a private middle school. And so I think that I know from a lot of different angles how schools work. And I've also been a school leader. I've been a PTA president, a school community council chair and secretary. And so I really have enjoyed and benefited from all those opportunities.
Describe what you believe to be one or two of the major challenges facing the school district, and how would you address them?
Well, the legislative session's over, so we don't have to talk about that as much. But I do think one major area, working in a college of education, we are always looking to recruit students to our programs, and it's getting harder. And I know there's a school and school psychologists and various shortages of school professionals, and that's obviously a challenge that education nationwide needs to face, but here in Utah as well, because we have so many kids. We need to help them and have the professionals that they need. I do think Canyons is actually doing a really good job of doing what we need to do to not just attract new teachers, but to keep the teachers we have, because obviously helping people stay in the job and feel like they want to keep doing it for their career is important, as well as recruiting. I also think that there's always more things that we could do. I think I actually was having this conversation with a teacher at Hillcrest High School the other day, and he's a longtime teacher, and talked about how much he was grateful for the salary raises and things like that that teachers have gotten, but that he would like to also feel a little bit more like, not from the district, but maybe from the community at large, like he was being treated like the professional he is, being able to do his job with the judgment that he has from decades of his career. And I think that it helps teachers do that when they know the district has their back. And that's a thing I would try to do as a school board member. I also think we're living in a really divided society, and a lot of that division and misinformation tends to focus on schools right now. And I think that that's a really difficult problem to combat, but an important thing to kind of stand up for. And I've always been an advocate for public schools and tried to do lots of discussions and listen to people's concerns. And that's a thing that I would hope to continue if I was on the school board.
Okay, thank you. What do you believe is the role of a school board member? And then also, do you have time to devote to this position? There are several committee meetings monthly, in addition to board meetings on Tuesday night.
So I thought this was a really interesting question. And the thing that I have been thinking about is that school board members represent the community in supporting students and the work of schools. And I think that the other thing that school board members do is advocate for public education, wherever they are, whatever they're doing. And that's a thing that I am 100% all in on already. I'll keep doing it no matter what happens tonight. But I do work part-time, and my hours are really, really flexible. And I'm used to juggling lots of different things on my schedule because I do have 4 kids. And so I would be able to have the flexibility to do the work that needed to be done in terms of being in schools, whether it was during the day or evening. So I do feel I'm very available for that.
Okay, how would you handle a situation where you have two groups of parents who are asking you to decide an issue, and what they want you to do is completely opposite of what the other group is asking you to do?
So like every meeting for you guys. How would I handle every meeting? I think that the only thing a leader can do in that situation is put aside their own biases as much as they can Listen to learn to all of the people who are talking with them. And then ponder really carefully and make a principled decision. There's some decisions have to be made, and that's part of being a leader. But they have to be made with respect. And I note too that I did not say to put aside your own principles or your own opinions. Obviously, I think that as long as you have informed, carefully made opinions, fact-based opinions, thoughtful, thorough opinions, that's one of the most important things you bring to the position that you hold, along with a willingness to hear everybody else and understand that their opinions can be really valid too.
Okay, thank you so much for being here and for applying for this position.
I
We
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Jackson Lewis. Happy to take any of your questions.
Okay. We would just like to welcome you here tonight to our meeting of the Canyons Board of Education, and would like to start by thanking you for your interest in serving on the board and representing District 1. And we'll start with the questions, and Mr. Edel will be the first one.
Tell us about yourself and why you are interested in being a school board member. Tell us why you are well qualified for this position.
Well, my name is Jackson Lewis, as I mentioned. I am a recent Hillcrest High School graduate. I graduated class of 2023. I'm a lifelong resident of Midvale. That means I've lived here for 19 years, just down the road from each other, same street. My friends and family are all in the Canyon School District. In their school, somehow I have little cousins all the way down in like Draper. I have friends who I've been with my whole life, and my little sister is also about to be a senior at Hillcrest High School. Also, during this last legislative session, I did a little stint at the Office of Legislative Research and General Counsel for the Utah State Legislature and served as a session secretary. And I have experience working in an environment very similar to this, off to the side, taking minutes, but I would be more than happy to use that experience to represent Midvale and promote good, positive educational policy going forward.
Great, thank you. What are the greatest educational needs in District 1?
So I believe as I had great interaction with the administration and the teachers at Hillcrest High School, I believe that funding for administration and teacher pay is of the most importance. Teachers are the backbone of the education system, and if they're not getting paid enough, why are we asking them to come into work every day if we're not paying them what is a respectable amount to do one of the toughest jobs in our civilization, right? So I believe one of the greatest educational needs is just to secure future funding for administration and teacher salary, as well as more staff just in general, and also more staff support so that they get the support at work that they need, as well as lobbying the Utah State Legislature for more funding per pupil, as Utah is one of, unfortunately, the lowest spending per pupil states in the entire country, as well as continue funding for school improvement. As I said, I was a graduate from Hillcrest High School. I was one of the beneficiaries of this school improvement program. The new facilities at Hillcrest is fantastic, and I want to make sure that every single school in the district gets those high quality funding needs and for school improvement that they need.
Okay, question 3. What personal experience have you had with public schools?
I've attended public school since I was in kindergarten. My whole life, as well as I was a debate kid. I did debate for 3 years in my high school time. I'm very, very in touch with not just policy in general, but education policy, as I was a debate kid for so long. In middle school, I was also a member of the community council that was organized, that would help like lead school dances, like stuff like that, just helped connect the students to the teachers and the administration.
Describe what you believe to be one or two of the major challenges facing the school district, and how would you address them?
All right, so the most obvious concerning threat is the threat of politicization of this board, from whether it be the legislature, whether it be political think tanks and influence from not just in Utah, but all across the country. And as a person who has worked with the legislature very closely during this last session, where a lot of these pieces of legislation were passed, I know how important it is for members of the school board to be present at the legislature, to be at committee hearings, to be talking to legislators behind the scenes, and to help either water down these bills if they're going to get passed anyway, or to help these bills be stopped. I think it's very important that the politicization of our education system needs to stop. And as a board member, I would oppose measures to restrict access to informational pieces such as books or just any information that may be seen as unnecessary by some other politicians in the state capitol, as well as I believe a big problem that our schools are facing is dependence on substances. I have lots of friends in the school system, and almost every single one of them, including some of my family members, are addicted to nicotine vape products. And I believe that that is a very, very, very big threat to our school system, because it also helps fuel student apathy, which will raise dropout rates, which will lower grades, and overall just reduce the overall quality of experience that you're getting. And I believe that the best way forward to stop future dependence on nicotine and just substances in general is start them young, not just on just say no, but talk to them about the harmful effects, talk to them about the financial burden of being addicted to substances, because I know substances are very, very financially burdensome, as I'm close to people who are in high school and are struggling to work multiple jobs to keep up their substances and also keep going to school. So I think we need to stop substance abuse early. You need to get it into kids early, that it's just not the right path to go down, not just because substances are bad, not just because that's the way that it's always been, but because of these explicit reasons why substances are bad. That's how you help fix our student apathy problem, which I was a student who had a great deal of apathy, especially senior year. But yeah, you just need to start them off early and with the proper reasoning.
Okay, thank you. What do you believe is the role of a school board member? And also, do you have time to devote to this position? There are several committee meetings monthly, as well as board meetings on Tuesday nights.
I believe the position of a school board member is to be a representative of the teachers, the administration, and the students when it comes to making policy about our education system. As a school board member, you should be available at all times to parents who I have talked to recently about issues in education, with students who I am very close to, many, many students who are still in the Canyon School District, and teachers who my parents are currently parents at Canyon School District. And I know many, many parents who are very, very active and hoping to keep Canyon School District good and functional. And to answer that question, I have no time constraints. I'm available at all the times that were mentioned. I can be president at any time.
Okay, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for applying for this position. Sorry, one more.
Yes, but thank you for being here. How would you handle a situation where you have two groups of parents who are asking you to decide an issue, and what they want you to do is completely opposite of what the other group is asking you to do?
Well, as a school board member, your job here isn't to make one group of parents happy over another. The job here is to make the right decision for the district. So what I would do in this situation is to analyze the situation and discuss separately with both groups of parents their concerns, as well as tying in teachers, administration, and students if needed to help come to a resolution that makes everyone at least a little bit happy and is the best district possible for the district overall.
Okay, thank you so much for being here and thank you for applying for this position. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for your time.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, so welcome to tonight's meeting of the Kansas Board of Education, and would like to start by thanking you for your interest in serving on the board and representing District 1. And we will just go straight into the questions.
Sounds like a plan.
Mr. Edel.
Tell us about yourself and why you were interested in being a school board member. Tell us why you are well qualified for this position.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I did have a chance to work with Monty once in a school issue, and he was awesome. He was great. If I could be as warm and caring as that would go a long way. I live in the area. I've lived here for 17 years. My kids, 4 of them, go to the Canyon School District. If you count the preschool, he does go to the Canyons preschool, so I'm familiar with that as well. And I have a love of learning, and I have a love of education. I did my medical school at the University of Utah. From there, I did my residency at the University of Michigan. Then I came back and I opened up my own practice, and I now practice in District 1, right on 7200 South. I am involved in education in my entire life. In residency, I educated the nurse practitioner students, and where I am now, St. Mark's sends their medical residents to learn from me. My patients, when they come in, most of my job is about education. So the importance of education runs deep in me. And I have a love of helping and just lifting up where I can. And that's why I applied. I don't know if I would have run, but the opportunity to help and just say, I've got the skill set, maybe I can be of a help. I look at this position that's being offered in a little bit of a different light. Whereas you standing before me, you guys are part of a marathon. 4 years is a long time. 9 months is not. I have, in that position, I have the opportunity to be more of a sprint than a marathon. And at the end of 9 months, I'd say, drop the mic and say, thank you very much. I put in my effort. I did what I could for who I could. And it's back to you guys, back to your original programming. And, but that's what I think qualifies me. I've got a strong science background, which I don't know how many people who serve on the boards have that kind of a strong science background. And I come from a different area of education to give me kind of a unique perspective.
Great, thank you. Thank you for being here. What are the greatest educational needs in District 1?
Okay, if you're old enough to remember the movie Maverick starring Mel Gibson, I'm gonna start with the story from that. If you remember, he goes and he starts playing poker and they don't want to let him on the table. And he says, I promise I will lose for at least the first hour. And they said, well, welcome aboard. We'd love to have you play. After the hour expires, he starts cleaning up. And they all said, well, what happened? He says, what do you think I was doing? I spent that entire hour studying your tales and now I know how to play the game. I don't know if I'm well versed enough in District 1 to know exactly what they need. I'm not in that world currently. That's what being on the board is. But my plan would be to visit each one of those schools and talk to each one of those teacher bodies and say, what do you need? What do you see your needs? Because I don't see this being my agenda. That's, again, the joy of coming in for only 9 months. I don't see this as being, I'm bringing agenda. I'm bringing the desire to serve. And that's a different thing altogether. District 1 is unique in its socio and economic areas. The whole district's kind of going, this is the housing that's done this. As houses get more expensive towards the east, you see a lot more of the kids showing up on the west. And that's going to be what's going to kind of define a lot of the problems coming in the next 3 to 4 years. And I think District 1 is going to see a huge part of that with that having more of the affordable housing. So I see that being one of the things to look for. I think socioeconomic problems will lead to some of the disciplinary issues that they have there. And I think those are some of the problems they're probably having. But again, without talking to the boots on the ground, I wouldn't want to commit to any particular course of action.
Thank you. So what personal experience have you had with public schools?
I am a product of the public education system. I am a believer in the public education system. My kids are part of the public education system. We all have friends that did the private school, had just that slight social offness because public education is not just about education. There is so much more to public education than just classwork. And I think many people, the people who understand that, create opportunities for their students and they create opportunities for people. And if you understand that that's public education, the difference is it's funded a different way. But public education offers so many more opportunities. You can do whatever you want in public education. You want to go for your international baccalaureate degree? Go for it. You want to take AP classes? Go for it. You want to just sit there and get by? You can do that too. It will provide you the opportunity to be what you want to be.
Describe what you believe to be one or two major challenges facing the school district and how would you address them?
So I talked about this a little bit with the first question, but understanding is the first step. And knowing that I know more about dermatology than any of you looking at me is wonderful. But knowing that you know more about the problems in the district, that takes knowledge. I'm not coming in with an agenda. I am coming in with a desire to serve and saying, hey, look, I can do this for 9 months. I control my own schedule. I can do this for 9 months. I do think if I looked and I thought about it, I'd say the impact of social media in our schools is probably going to be something that is definitely going to have to be evaluated because none of us, I mean, I got my first cell phone as a resident and I did it so I didn't have to sit by the phone if there was an emergency. But my daughter, 11 years old, went to Hale last night. She brought her phone. It's connected only to Wi-Fi. It doesn't have a signal. I'm like, why'd you bring your phone? I thought I'd have some time. But that integrating technology into our lives, I mean, I remember slideshows in that elementary school. Integrating technology, I think, is one of the things that I would probably look at. But again, that's something that I would have to understand before I pursue.
Okay, what do you believe is the role of a school board member? And then also, do you have the time to devote to this position? There are several committee meetings monthly in addition to board meetings on Tuesday night.
This goes back to the 9 months. Could I commit to this for 4 years? My wife might kill me, but she gave me permission for 9 months. So I have the home permission that I am free from soccer commuting back and forth and that I can make that available for that time of a time commitment. I think the school board's role is to provide the best opportunity for every student to succeed through the Canyons education system. Now, what success? Sometimes we have a problem because we identify success as what we think success should be. I think you need to go to college. That might be success for them. Success might be for them becoming a plumber, which makes really good money if they're charging everybody what I get charged. Success may be they're the first person in their family to graduate high school. But the school board's job is to ensure the opportunity for them to see that success. Now, the school board oversees the policies. And so the school board also has the responsibilities to make sure that those policies have the effects that they're intended to. I'll give you an example of that. Oregon passed a law saying small amounts of drugs are legal. 2 years ago, they passed that law. This year, they rescinded that law because they found out it did not have the intended effect. It actually increased drug-related deaths. It didn't decrease them. So they had to reevaluate their laws and policies and say, it didn't do what we thought it was going to do. Maybe we should reevaluate. And that's the school board. You're kind of the high up. You're looking at the big picture. Whether or not Johnny said something bad to a school teacher doesn't really come under your purview, but the policies to make sure that Johnny understands that and what that teacher does as a protocol, that is your purview. And that's how I see that.
Thank you. How would you handle a situation where you have two groups of parents who are asking you to decide an issue and what they want you to do is completely opposite of what the other group is asking you to do?
I've been to a school board meeting before. I would guess this is the majority of your life, all right? So the first thing is, and Mont did this very well, because 4 years ago, I had an issue and it did not get resolved the way I wanted, but I felt that Mont had my back. And it was interesting because the first thing he did is he listened. Listening to understand, the biggest problem with that is it takes time. The one thing we don't have in life is the one thing that you have to start with. Both sides have to feel like they're being understood. And then you have to see if you can find middle ground. I'll give you an example of that. Somebody comes in and says, I want school uniforms. You've never heard that one, right? The other side says, that's the most ridiculous idea you've had. When you get down to it, what they both are looking for is their kids to feel more safe at school. And so finding that middle ground and saying, okay, where can we find a compromise on this? Maybe we say we don't wear hats with gang signs on them. Maybe we say we do this. Where is the compromise point? And oftentimes we try to be the parent and we try to do it for them. But oftentimes getting people together and letting them discuss, they're much more giving of that. Of that. And sometimes you just have to make a decision. Being a parent requires you just make a decision. And when that happens, helping them understand your decision-making process is key into them accepting it. When we sometimes just pass it and say, this is my decision, it doesn't go down well. We say, this is why I decided.
Okay, thank you so much for
All
being
right.
here
Thanks.
and for applying. We
Thanks.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. We would like to welcome you here tonight to the meeting of the Canyons Board of Education, and would like to start by thanking you for your interest in serving on the board and representing District 1. And we'll just go straight into the questions, starting with Mr. Edel.
Tell us about yourself and why you're interested in being a school board member. Tell us why you are well qualified for the position.
Oh, great. Thank you. My name is Quinn Sperry. I am a father of 4 children who have all, well, one's graduated from the Canyon School District. The other 3 are currently attending, one in high school, one in middle school, and one in elementary. Why I'm interested is because I've been involved in various things in the community, most recently spending almost a decade as a member of the city council. Decided not to run for another term, so I've had 2.5 months off of that when this opportunity came up. And serving on the Canyons Education Foundation Board has been great to be involved in the school. And as I thought about running, I reached out to a teacher that lives by me, and he said, you've served as a city council member, an elected official, but if you really want to impact your children's lives, the best way to do that is as a member of the Board of Education. And so that is something where I thought, my kids are going to go and they're going to be out of school in some years. And so if I want to be able to make some impact really while they're there, I wanted to serve, even if it is just during an interim period. Why I'm qualified is, I think, with my education, the legal training, being able to look at various perspectives, considering the opinions of different sides, looking at how can you bring people to the middle, because we know that being in the schools, people have different opinions. And serving on the foundation has been great. Seeing some of the things that goes on in our school. As a city council member, I also had the opportunity to serve on the board of Shelter the Homeless, and District 1 has the homeless shelter. And so being more aware of what those students that are displaced, what they're going through, and thinking of how we can have policies in place to help them is to have some foundation and grounding as they're going throughout those struggles in their life, are some of the things that I think I bring to this opportunity to serve as a member of the board.
Great, thank you. Next question, what are the greatest educational needs in District 1?
District 1 has some unique challenges. If you look at it, it's I think the socioeconomic demographics of District 1 are unique. Maybe District 4 has some similar. Like I said, you have the homeless shelter on the west side, and as it extends into part of Creek Road, more affluent area. And so you see the mix of all of that. And it can be a challenging of trying to have the curriculum and being able to teach to those students. Some that come from very strong homes with families and support, and others where they're wondering, where's their next meal going to be? You also have lots of different languages in District 1, and again, trying to serve those different students. But I also think one of those challenges or needs is also one of the strengths. I attended the schools in District 1. I grew up, I attended East Midvale, I attended Midvale Middle, Hillcrest High School, met my wife at Hillcrest High School. As we've raised our kids, we've talked about, do we want to move? One of the reasons we wanted to stay there is, even though we know the other high schools and schools in our district are great, we said we wanted our kids to be around that diversity of Hillcrest and recognizing that they're there and maybe not knowing all of the economic backgrounds of some of these students, but then as they can look at it and say throughout their life, no matter how much, affluency or the money that their family has, whether it's very little or a lot, they start to value that individual for who they are and what their talents are. And so we made a conscious decision to stay there. And so even though those are challenges for District 1, I think we can look at it from a different perspective and have it be a strength.
Thank you. What personal you had with public schools?
Like I said, I attended the public school district here in the area. At that time, it was Jordan School District. I already named off those schools that I attended. My children have been attending Canyon School District schools of Oakdale, Union, and now Hillcrest as well. When they were younger, I volunteered at Oakdale, going in and spending time. Because of my other schedule, I would only go in once a month to help them with reading or just different things of spending time one-on-one with some of those students. And that was great to get to, just be there in the classroom with my own children, but then helping some of the other students. More recently, the last couple of years, being able to be on the foundation board. And I love that. As I was done being on the city council and the various boards, I said, the only board I want to still be on is the foundation. And so it's fantastic to, from the teachers to look at the innovation grant applications, from the students looking at their scholarship applications, and just all the good that the foundation does for the students, the families, and also the teachers and employees of the district. And so also being on, I'm on the scholarship committee for Hillcrest High School, the alumni scholarship committee. And so that's great to read what some of these students, the challenges that they've had and also the things they've accomplished. I read it, and every time I'm thinking, I don't know how they could make that through. I mean, some of these challenges, they'd destroy me to sort of see how resilient these kids are. And then also I remember after the pandemic reading one and thinking that, this young woman's accomplished more in her life than I have. And so it's inspiring at the same time.
Describe what you believe to be the one or two major challenges facing the school district, and how would you address them?
I think the first challenge I see is the changing demographics. Again, having grown up here in the area and seeing the change. We know it's getting older and there's less children. And so looking at how can we do that? How can we continue to sustain our school district with those demographics? And we have to look at having programs in place to be attracting students. And I think we do that with the dual immersion, with the IB program, Step to the U in some of these schools. And I think continuing to innovate and having those where people want to come and keeping our school district at the top where people want to come is they're looking at new homes, moving into the area. They want to come here. The other thing challenge I think we have, and I see it in my own business, is attracting and retaining talent. Right? I mean, it's almost like an arms race out there with different businesses and the school districts, especially if you've got to hire when they're good, they get hired away by, maybe a few more dollars here or there. And so we have to look at having programs in place of what can we do to make it so that the employees want to stay here. And that is listening to them, seeing what they find is important and trying to implement those things. I love hearing what they've also done in the where the employees can contribute some of the funds to help build up a scholarship that the teachers can get. I mean, I think the programs like that, teachers realize they want to stay here because of how great it is.
Okay, thank you. What do you believe is the role of a school board member? And then also, do you have the time to devote to this position? There are several committee meetings monthly in addition to board meetings on Tuesday nights.
Well, since District 1 has Hillcrest and we know that they're known for their theater, I'll say the role is with theater, you wear many hats. As a parent with children here, and also somebody who is representing District 1 and the constituents that are there, but also having to represent the students, the families, and employees of the entire district. And I think that's also something I had to do on the city council is, I think sometimes too often we say, well, I just have to focus on the people in my district to get reelected. Maybe the nice thing is an interim one, you don't have to worry about being reelected, right? And you say, yeah, I may have to look at that, but it's really what's in the best interest for the district as a whole, and striving to do that and advocating for the students, the families, and the employees, and trying to balance because those interests are not always aligned. Do I have the time? Yeah, I view it as it's pretty similar to what I had in city council. I mean, again, I've had 2.5 months off, but we met on Tuesdays. I was on several other boards, sometimes during the workday, sometimes in the evening. I guess that's the nice thing with having my own partner in my own law firm. My schedule is pretty flexible unless I have a court date or something that judge isn't always willing to let me off, but it works for the most part. And so yeah, I can make that work.
Thank you for being here. How would you handle a situation where you have two groups of parents who are asking you to decide an issue and what they want you to do is completely opposite of what the other group is asking you to do?
Yeah, those are difficult situations, right? And with my career, I do it every day. As a lawyer and opposing parties, we do it every day, and we're trying to. Parties don't always see eye to eye. And again, on the city council, we had that too, where people have different interests. I think the way that I approach it, one, you have to listen. You've got to understand what are the goals of the different sides, what are their perspectives, and then try to do some education in helping both sides understand and see the other sides to see if you can bring them to the middle. And oftentimes that'll work, right? Where they can see where the compromise is. Doesn't always work. And I think I put that in my application that sometimes we just have to make a decision and it's not going to be popular with some of it. And I've had to do that. I'd look back on the city council. I don't know why, but on some of the most critical votes, I was the swing vote. It would be 2-2 and it'd come to me. And yeah, I got some hate mail for that. But I could look at people in the eye and say, I always made the decision that I thought was in the best interest for the city at that point, based upon the information I had. And I think I'd do the same thing here is weigh and balance the different interests of the parties. And then ultimately, if I have to make a decision, what I think is the best for everybody involved, even though some people are not going to like it.
Okay, thank you for being here and for applying, and we really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, board, I'm not gonna let you get up. I guess if you really have to get up, you can, but we're just gonna take about 10 minutes. And no.
Oh, 3 crossed off. I had only 2. 3.
Yeah,
Okay.
3. So we're just going to take about 10 minutes so you guys can read through your notes, come to a decision, and then I'm going to, Cindy, do we have a bowl or a box or something that I can put the numbers in for the board members to draw? Because we're going to draw numbers for who I call on to say their decision. Well, I have numbers. I just need a bowl or a box or something. I don't know. Okay,
Okay.
okay, thank you.
We're just.
You guys are just looking through your papers, deciding who your number one candidate is. Because that's what we're going, that's what I'm gonna ask. Yeah. Yeah, there's tiebreaker questions.
Tiebreaker, but like, as an individual board member, I can have like 3 favorites, like, right? I can't. You have to.
We have to choose one. That's what the instructions said.
Tiebreaker questions just for my number one.
I know. No, this is hard.
Seems for me.
It is hard. Okay, well, that's why I'm giving you 10 minutes to study your notes.
Oh my goodness. I have my top 5 too.
Hopefully I don't have.
How do I get rid of? I feel like I need more questions for mine to emerge as my favorite. I got more than one. Very hard. I would like to. Yeah, I would prefer that. Yeah, me too. Yeah. Can we say 2, please? That will help. I'll make a motion.
I have to say,
No. You do?
and then I have them.
Will you guys just let me know when you're ready to make your decision, board?
Oh my gosh. You're already ready? No, I don't need another hour. And I get rid of her. I'm getting rid of her. Mm. I've got 4.
Anywhere where you'd like.
I got 4. This is a problem. Can we do 3? What? Yeah. Right. So. Yeah. Just to hear more. The other thing
Okay, here's my thing. It would be easy for me to pick two if I know that someone else picked one of my thoughts. What order? What are you doing? Oh, great. Yeah. Well, I want to pick three. Okay. I'm gonna pick three. But we can make the option to pick one of them. I'm gonna.
I don't know if Nancy is. Okay, I am going to let you guys draw. We're gonna draw the order we say are top candidates.
I would like, and can I make a motion that we,
Oh, let's wait for motion till Nancy gets back.
okay. Well, this determines, okay.
But, you know, it's a fair, open process.
Three.
I know. Okay, board, we have our order. Andrew is first again. Second is Karen. Third is Holly. Fourth is Amber. Fifth is Amanda. Sixth is Nancy. So is there any discussion or motion?
I would like to make a motion,
Okay,
seeing as how we had such very qualified candidates who answered the questions so very well. I make a motion that as board members, if we have two or three that floated to the top that scored the same with their answers, that we were able to submit all of them.
okay, so board, we have a motion. Is there a second to that motion? Sure, discussion for the motion.
So by bringing forward multiple names, then we would automatically like narrow it down and then do tiebreaker questions is what you're
Yes.
intending?
Yes, Mrs. Oaks.
To me, it seems like the only way that would make sense is if all of us submitted the same number of names. Otherwise,
agree.
it disadvantages.
Yeah.
Right, so we'd have to all submit two or all submit three or something.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So do you want to amend your
Yes,
motion?
I'd like to make a motion that each of us have three.
Is
Can
there,
commit three.
is there a second to that? Okay,
I'll
there's,
second it.
okay. Okay, there is a second. Okay. Discussion or questions, board? Mr. Edel?
All right, so just point of clarification. So is it all of the people who will be brought up during this will have additional questions, or what happens next?
yeah.
I don't really understand.
Because
Explain that.
he's thinking like if three of us have a candidate in one of our three. So he's thinking of the total votes. in
It'll
the-
be the candidates that there's a majority of votes for, so 4 votes. Do you guys agree with that? They have to have at
Yeah.
least 4 votes
Okay,
to be brought back for the tiebreaker questions.
okay.
Is that okay, board? Okay, do you wanna
I don't think I do, because my motion was just how many we could bring forward, not the process after that.
Okay. Okay, I think that's fine. I think that's fine, you guys, as long as we all understand that. Okay, so we'll clarify that we're gonna say our top 3 candidates.
Mhm.
And the candidates that are receiving a majority of votes, which means 4, will be brought back for tiebreaker question. And we'll give them both questions, or should we just do one question?
Both.
Both questions, okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously. So just a minute. Are all board members, I'm actually personally not ready to give 3. So I need, yeah, we need to take a few more minutes, like 5 more minutes. Hey, you guys, we've never done this before, so just realize this. We're doing our best here.
I'm just gonna take a minute while Amber's doing her own tally. I have to say, when I opened up everyone's resumes and applications today, it was very moving for me because the thought that I had was, oh my gosh, Mont would be so proud. Like so many amazing people from your community who are willing to come and serve. And he used to say to me, I've been doing this a long time. Like, I know there's other really amazing people in my community. He's like, and they must, I don't know why they keep trusting me to do this, because I know there's a lot of them that are great. And so looking through everyone's names and applications, I don't know. I felt there was a part of him that would be very, very pleased. And I felt like it was a huge credit to your community. Like all of you that are here are awesome. And no matter what happens, I hope each one of you dedicates yourself to really being willing to continue to advocate and be involved in the schools. Midvale and District 1 needs you, right? And we need every single one of you, not just one. We need all of you. So anyway, just want to put that out there.
Is everyone ready to give their 3? And I would just say, let's just say these are not in order, because that would be weird if they were in order. I mean, not weird, but it would give it, would give it away. So I think that would be fair. Okay, and then Mrs. Oaks, will you use this paper to tally the votes? I'll tally them as well, but we'll have 2 people, and Cindy and Steve also. Perfect. You guys, we have multiple people that are gonna keep track of this. Okay, so first of all, we have Mr. Edel.
Wow, talk about hard. Nicole Stevenson, Quinn Sperry, Stacy Kratz.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Pedersen.
Quinn Sperry, Christine Milberg, Nikki Stevenson.
Okay, third is Mrs. Nybar.
Quinn Sperry, Chris Millerberg, and Nicole Stevenson.
Okay, now it's me. I am voting for Stacy Kratz, Christine Milberg, and Quinn Sperry.
So I am voting for Quinn Sperry. Oh, sorry, I got
I gotta write down mine.
it. Okay, I wrote yours down. Okay. So I've got Quinn Sperry.
Okay, it was
And
Stacy. I didn't write down. Okay, sorry you guys. It's hard to keep track of.
Stacy Kratz and Christine Millerberg.
Okay, wait. Those are your votes.
Mm-hmm. There's number 5.
Okay, perfect. I think we got it. Okay, Mrs. Tingy.
Okay, the 3 names that I would like to move forward are Stacy Kratz, Nicole Stevenson, and Christine Millerberg.
Okay, wow. Okay, so the following, I will let you know. So Christine Millerberg has enough votes for going on to the next round. Nikki Stevenson has enough votes. She has 4. Stacy Kratz has 4, and Quinsbury has 5. So thank you guys. And I assume you guys are prepared for the second round. Should I just, I mean, it's okay to just to go in the same order that you guys did last time? Yes, okay. Okay, so Chris Milberg, do you want to come up for the tiebreaker questions? Okay, are you ready? You're getting there, okay. The first question is, can you share an experience on how your work efforts improved your community or workplace?
Well, when I first began my experience in public education, I was a resource teacher in Weber School District. It was a long time ago. And it was prior to IDA. That was not in existence at that time, which for those of you maybe in the audience who aren't familiar is the Individuals with Disability Act. So in my community, the students did not have to necessarily qualify to be in special education. I was teaching in a junior high school, and what the qualifications were is if a teacher felt that a student was not going to be successful or was not showing success in the regular classroom, for whatever reason, it didn't have to be behavior, it didn't have to be intellectual, it didn't have to be emotional, it could be any or all of the combinations, which IDA qualifies now. So at that time, there was not a qualification. So within the scope of my classroom, I had kids that were exceptionally bright, but had a high rate of absenteeism. 3 of them I can specifically recall because they were members of the junior national ski team. And so they were gone, they were traveling a lot, but according to the qualifications, they had no place else to put them in order, because there was no homeschooling or anything like that. So I became a pod of a lot of varieties of kids. One person that came to me in my second year at that school was a parent, and she said, I am hearing from my neighbors and friends that this program is highly successful in meeting individual needs. My daughter is entirely blind. She is now a student at the deaf and blind school because that's the only place that the state can service her because of her disability. But I feel like I would have the confidence in you to bring her to your school. What do you think? And I said, I don't know Braille. I don't know, I do not have specific qualities that would qualify me in particular. But when I look at your daughter, I see more things that describe her as any other child that would be coming to school. She had one situation, her uniqueness that she was blind. So at that point, no other school or no other student had ever qualified to come into the regular ed. So we bridged that gap. And I can remember saying to her, no child should be left behind just because of one disability. There's more things that work for her than aren't working for her. And she came in and had an extremely successful experience. As a result, I was able to have a strong relationship with the deaf and blind school, and through that whole Utah State special education which opened avenues for a lot of situations that carried forward. So I felt like that was unique, but also very indicative of the kinds of things that were happening within the law, that people were recognizing that these kinds of kids should have the opportunity to be served.
Okay, thank you. And
there's
just so
another-
you guys know, we're going to give you 5 minutes each for, anyway, so you'll have up to 5 minutes.
Okay, so am I
For each
supposed to
person.
answer the second one?
Yeah, the second one is, what do you believe differentiates you from other candidates and or existing board members?
Well, I think I was saying to my kids, nobody else can say they've lived in the area for 50 years because nobody else is that old. So I see my age and my experience within the community as an advantage, because I feel like the roots that I have here are very real. I'm very invested in the community. And most of the people, I was talking with some people in the room, most of the people that you really want to put your finger on are the secretaries, in the schools. I know personally all of them. I know every one of the principals. I'm in and out of the schools on a regular basis as part of my husband's responsibility. So I know these people. Charlotte, who I think she's the secretary at East Midvale. I think she's the longest serving employee of the district. And, just by virtue of the fact that I'm old and have had a lot of experience in the school, I think that sets me apart in that regard.
Thank you so much. Did you give her 5 minutes total for both questions? Or 5 minutes? Or 5 minutes each? I mean, I just wanted to clarify what you just did. Oh, okay. Board, are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood and we are all on the same page. Okay, perfect. Maybe do you want to give a little ding when they're halfway through? Yeah. Yeah, because I don't know if Chris, did you hear that, Chris? That little beep person? Okay. Sorry, Chris, you're kind of the test on that. Sorry about that. Okay, let's go on now to Mrs. Stevenson. Okay, and then the first question is, can you share an experience on how your work efforts improved your community or workplace?
First, I'm not very good at public speaking. I can do the,
Is the microphone on?
can you hear me? Is that better? Better? I might not be doing well
Okay,
at the public
perfect.
speaking. I'm great at the one-on-one conversations. I do think that adds to my value as a candidate for this position. I have an ability to connect and relate one-on-one, and I think if there is an opportunity in the community that my husband and I saw to connect with a constituent, we always find ourselves jumping into that situation and finding ways to have common ground and build that relationship. And I think that is ultimately the success that I feel the most impactful and that I'm proud of, is that every day, every conversation we have, whether it's with students or residents or businesses or stakeholders, we are able to change conversations and grow opportunities one-on-one, having these conversations. And I really feel that is the biggest impact that I bring. I currently work in a position where I do community outreach for the Salt Lake City Mayor's office. And this position is something I'm actually very proud of because it's a newly established position where we are taking community outreach into digital spaces to make sure we are reaching constituents and having conversations with them in ways that hasn't been utilized before. But we all know that technology and digital spaces what direction we're going as a society. And so making sure that residents are heard in these formats is one thing that I'm super proud of and contributing to that. So I'm excited to see where that goes. If there was anything that would distinguish me, it would be that I have the lived experience of many constituents in our area. And I feel like, both all of these candidates are amazing here and qualified. I think, Chris Millerberg, I just have to say, Mont was a community person and nobody can fill his shoes. But I think that Mont would appreciate having somebody like me in that seat who would be fighting for the community and always willing to advocate for those who are in poverty and ensuring that they have a seat at the table and access to free education. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll have Stacy Kratz come up. Okay, I'll just say the first question and then you can go on to the second one.
Okay.
Can you share an experience on how your work efforts improved your community or workplace?
Sure. When when my youngest child started kindergarten, I suddenly had, at the time, I was mostly a stay-at-home mom, but I was doing freelance work, so I had a really flexible schedule. And I decided to spend at least one school day a week just in his kindergarten classroom. And that was the funnest year ever. And I never got to work with him. The person I mainly worked with was this little boy whose family had just been granted refugee status here in the United States. And my main volunteer job was to just help him do school. And so we would sit in the back of the classroom sometimes, and I don't speak Spanish, but he spoke Spanish. And so Google Translate was my friend that year. And it was such a absolutely precious experience to see him learn, to just be kind of his learning buddy. And it made me realize all the little individual efforts that a person can make that can have a difference in a student's life. By the semester, he could speak like very passable English. By the end of the school year, he was reading. It was such a blessing to be in his life that year as a volunteer. And a few years later, I got a job at a university school of education doing public relations work. And we work with a team of students. There's about 8 students on our team at any given time. And because they're students, they rotate in and out. And I was noticing a few deficits over the course of my first couple months there in some of their performance. And I proposed to my boss that we start looking at where they needed help. And thinking about what their individual needs were. And then I set up learning modules for them. So at every staff meeting, we do training for them. And they started, once they realized we really were invested in their success rather than just telling them what to do, they started asking for things that they want. So we have a module now about writing a resume, an effective resume, and doing a good cover letter. So when you're a senior, that doesn't really help our office, except that it helps our students know that we're super invested in them. And our performance issues have basically disappeared in our office. We get compliments a lot on the fact that we have these college students doing professional level work. And I'm really, really proud of that. And that's a thing I learned in that kindergarten classroom.
Okay, and then do you know the second question?
Yes.
What do you believe differentiates you from other candidates and existing board members?
So I've talked a lot about all the time that I've spent in schools, and I think that everybody here has that, though, and I think all of you have that as well. You wouldn't be sitting there if you didn't care and hadn't spent time. One of the things that I think has really helped me in a lot of areas of my life is the fact that I was trained as a journalist, and it's not that, well, as we know, it's not that journalists don't have opinions, right? You just have to consider everyone else's point of view. And you have to be open to the idea that, number one, you might be wrong. Your thinking might be incomplete. The facts you have might be incomplete. You may not know the full story. You have to be willing to change your mind. And you have to be willing to look dispassionately and step outside yourself and your interests and decide what is best in any given situation, or what's the most truthful way to present a situation. And that's helped me a lot in my personal advocacy because I'm always aware when I'm advocating for a position that I may not know the full story or that there might be a way we can compromise. And I have really, really good relationships with many people in this district with whom I've held adversarial positions at various times. But we always know that we're just having different opinions. We're not enemies. And I'm really grateful for my journalism background for teaching me that there's always more to learn and always more to know. And I think that's a thing that would really be helpful on the school board.
Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Sperry. Okay, can you share an experience on how your work efforts improve your community or workplace?
Yeah, I'll share, two if I can. One on the micro level. I've served as a youth soccer coach for over a decade, and we weren't always the best teams. And one of the things that we really strive to do is to teach them that they don't find their value from winning. You know, you want to teach them skills and the value of hard work, and that even if you lose, if you play your best, that's where you find your value. And I think that's even in schoolwork. They may not always get the best grades, but if they've tried their best, that's what they want. And so I think trying to help those youth find the value inside themselves. And one of the things that we did with that, our club had a program for kids with special needs. And so we would strive to set a time that they could go and play with them and help them realize that, again, it's the joy of just playing soccer and helping them understand that no matter the abilities, it's out having fun, getting to know them. And so that was one, and it's been great over the years to watch them from when we started, and now some of them are adults, and to see what they're doing with their lives. On a more macro level, again, one of the things I do with my profession is I serve as currently the chairman of the Legislative Action Committee. And so as we look in my practice focuses on real estate law, and we are often looking throughout the year of what can we do to address this area to improve things for homeowners and things like that. And then we work with the legislators and get the laws addressed, and then personally involved in dealing with the legislature, personally drafting some of the laws that have been into effect. I mean, there's at least 2 of the laws that I've drafted being there. So that's on the grand scale impacting not just the community I live in, but the state as a whole. On the second question, if I can move on to that, I'd like to echo what Nikki said, is the candidates that we have are great. I didn't know all of them coming in today. I knew half of them. And I know when I looked at the list, I was like, they could pick any of these and it'd be great. And especially hearing just these last 3 that got up, because I didn't have a chance to hear everybody. But the last 3, I whispered to Brian, I'm like, I'm pretty inadequate here. They're all amazing. I guess the thing that I would bring is really just the breadth of the experience of serving on the city council, seeing the issues that come up in the community, and having to deal with those individuals, being on the board of Shelter the Homeless, seeing the impact that it has, and taking into consideration some of the challenges that they face and how that can impact their ability to be in schools, and thinking of how you can address those things. Again, being a youth coach and being involved in trying to help these kids really overcome some of the challenges, and then being on the scholarship committee, that reading those things, like I said before, is seeing the challenges that they go through and seeing it in my own kids, and just realizing life can be difficult for the youth right now, and looking at ways, how can we support them? How can we help them get their education, but also in that social dynamic, helping understand their worth, and so they can strive to achieve their dreams. And that's what I think I bring, is different experiences from everybody else, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of the people here. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, board. I think I'll give you guys each a few minutes, and then I'd like to collect these again, because I think we should draw again so that we don't have to go. It's right here. So we don't have to go in the same order.
I have
Yeah, Mrs. Nyrock.
2 thoughts. One is for this last portion, as we're selecting the final candidate, would it be appropriate if we were to put the names into a bowl so they were read? But seeing as how we want a positive working relationship with whoever is selected, it just provides a little bit of anonymity so that whoever is selected, do you know what I'm saying? So it's in a bowl so they're
I
read.
do know what you're saying, but the reason why we did this is
cannot do that?
because of open meeting
Okay.
law.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
I think we'd all prefer, I think we'd have all preferred that earlier.
No,
as
we
well.
love you all. We will be happy with any.
You know, and I just want to add my thanks to each one of you because it's a lot to come and be interviewed in a live being streamed board meeting. I mean, that's really scary. And I just really appreciate every single one of you. And just, I mean, I'll echo what Amanda said. Like when I read all of your applications, I was just really impressed. And each one of you would be amazing up here. So, okay, we'll give the board a few minutes to think, which this is not easy. I'm just telling you, this is not easy. Okay, board, has everyone decided or not quite yet? Do we need more time? You've decided, are you guys okay? I know, I know, I know that, but I'm just asking if you guys are ready. I kind of assume she's ready since she went out. Maybe not. Okay, we'll wait for her to come back. Holly, are you ready? Okay, we're all ready? Okay, we're gonna draw new numbers. Okay, so now we do need a majority, so we need 4 votes. And
You could have.
4. I think it has to be a majority. For the final decision, yes. But we can do multiple rounds if we needed, yeah.
You have to have at least 4.
Yes, we have to have 4 votes. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Are we ready? Okay, Mrs. Nybar.
Just going to say, again, it was very difficult and really appreciate all of you for applying and for your excellent answers to all the questions. I am going with Queensberry.
Also looking forward to working with everyone. Nicole Stevenson.
Super hard. Christine Millerberg.
Okay. I'm going to say Christine Millerberg.
And I haven't had a chance to say how very impressed I am with all of you and thank you. It's been inspiring to see your desire to step up and serve our community as well as hear a little bit about your experiences in the past serving. I will go with Stacy Kratz.
Okay, Mrs. Pedersen.
Even though that's not in order. We'll give a 5 there. She had a 5. I have a
That's
6.
okay.
We're all good.
Fine.
I don't think it matters. This is probably the hardest decision I've had to make in really, really, really long time. My vote goes to Christine Milberg. So I don't know how
Okay,
that,
board. So we have 3 for Christine Millerberg, 1 for Nicole Stevenson, 1 for Stacy Kratz, and 1 for Queensberry. So now I don't know what we do. No, I'm just kidding. Now, now we need to, she has to have 4 votes. So I would just say, let's give a few more minutes and see if, yeah. Should we draw again?
Instead of having someone change their mind, could we have just those that ask another question of the,
No, but it's 3 votes for Christine and 1 for the other.
And we can't
so.
discuss, or can we, I mean,
we can't
'cause-
discuss, so it just seems. like
Well,
a
we
weird-
can, I think we can discuss, yes. I don't think there's a rule against that. Oh, so a simple majority does win then? So 3 does. Okay. Okay. I guess, are the board, are we fine with that then? Doing a simple majority?
I guess that would depend on who wanted to switch their vote, huh?
What do you think? So 3 is a simple majority. When it's 3, 1, 1, 1. I mean, board, are we fine with that? Or do we want to continue this process? Okay. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Diamond, for that clarification. And that is what is written in our papers of what our process would be. Okay.
Great, then let's.
Okay. Well, I just want to thank again all the candidates. I mean, you guys were all amazing and we really appreciate you being here and taking time and just being so interested in our district.
I will.
Oh, that's
make a
right. That's
motion.
true. We do have to have a motion. Sorry. We do
I-
have to have a motion.
I would make a motion that we go ahead and state that Chris Millerberg is our newest board member to replace Mont. Millerberg.
Okay, great.
for
Is there a
District 1.
second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay,
Phrase that correctly. Okay,
Nancy,
we appoint.
reappoint.
That we
I will
appoint
make a
her.
motion that that the Board of Education appoints Chris Millerberg for the seat of District 1 for the Board of Education, replacing Mont.
And I'll second it.
Okay, is there any discussion to that motion? Okay, seeing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. And thank you again. Okay, thank you all for being here, and I will now call this meeting to a close. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.